Good morning and welcome back. This is World Talks, coming to you live from Warsaw. I'm Salia Strzemska. And today we turn our attention to Bulgaria, a nation at a crossroads as it navigates significant political and economic changes. Just recently, the newly formed government set its sights on a crucial objective, joining the Eurozone. However, this ambitious goal has sparked a passionate response from various sectors of society, especially opposition parties, who are demanding a referendum for the people to weigh in on this pivotal decision. To discuss, I'm joined by Tomáš Prouza, Vice President, Czech Chamber of Commerce. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So let's go back to the root of the problem, so to speak, right? So as recently as 2024, so last year, the European Central Bank did not recommend that Bulgaria makes this switch, as the country was apparently not ready. But now it is ready to give its blessing, the ECB. So what has changed?
I think the ECB was primarily focused not on the preparation of the Bulgarian economy, but specifically looking at the supervision of the banks in Bulgaria. And the Bulgarian supervisors have significantly invested into beefing up the supervision. They also established better links with the European Central Bank. So this worry about, the stability of the Bulgarian banks has diminished significantly.
Right. But the President, Rumen Radev, has proposed a referendum, right, for the society to weigh in on what is happening, because it will be a significant shift. However, his proposal was rejected. Why so?
I think it doesn't make sense. Technically, when any country has a referendum to join the European Union, part of that is to fulfill all its obligations. And one of those obligations is to enter the Eurozone when the country is ready. So the Bulgarian people have already voted once. And I think that is enough. In the end, the fact to join the Eurozone is a technical solution. It is complex, that's absolutely true, but it's very similar to joining the European Union itself. There's a lot of technical work, but a decision needs to be made only once.
I understand. But Bulgaria is in a very precarious political position, right? Since, 2021, it has been sort of engulfed in a political crisis, right? Due to the government then collapsed due to corruption charges against Boyko Borisov. And then, there was a series of snap elections. So it seems that the political situation in the country is not stable. Is it a good time to make this switch?
Well, from political perspective, it is really a good time to join the Eurozone. It always creates a lot of emotions in any country that does so. And we see it also in the case in the Czech Republic. But interestingly, those political parties that are against joining the Eurozone have also usually very close ties to Russia. Stirring up emotions about giving up your own currency and joining Eurozone is also something we've seen in the Russian playbook in many countries. Because yes, it creates tensions as in a country like Bulgaria, just as you mentioned, with all the political problems in the past. It is a fragile environment. And we know that one of the things Russia always knows how to do very well is to stir up emotions, stir political unrest. And this is what we see, because for an average citizen, joining Eurozone is basically not an issue. Nothing changes. You change the name of the currency you pay, but your savings remain the same, your salary remains the same, just with a different number, but the same purchasing power. But emotionally, it is a huge issue.
Okay, so you said that nothing changes. But some things are changing, right? For instance, a representative of the country will be a part of the ECB, right? Although in case of Bulgaria, probably the country will not have that much influence. How does it work?
I would split the Eurozone into two areas. One is political, we just talked about, and it can be misused very effectively. Economically, this is something that gives the country a boost. Not only because you join the Eurozone itself, but you also need to undergo a lot of economic reforms to stabilize your economy, because you're giving up your monetary policy. So your public finances need to be much stronger. You cannot afford to have a problematic pension system, for example. So you need to do a lot of homework that jumpstarts the economy. And in the end, economically, I think it will help Bulgaria in the next few years. And also, I think it's a sign of stability. going back to the political level you just mentioned, because Bulgaria with internal politics was so problematic, then being part of Eurozone, being admitted among Eurozone members, I think will be also a sign of stability that there is this basic belief that Bulgaria will pull through the political problems and they will remain a stable democracy in Europe.
Right, because I mean, at the moment, right, we have 7 non-Eurozone members of the EU, and we have Bulgaria, the Czech Republic, Denmark, Hungary, Poland, Romania, and Sweden. So apparently Denmark is the only country, right, that opted out of adopting euro early on. But Poland and the Czech Republic still have to adopt the currency. It is an important issue, I mean, highly discussed issue here in Poland as well, the sort of the euro adoption. How is it in the Czech Republic?
Again, I think the issue is political, not economic. Economically, Czech Republic has been ready to join for the last 10 years, but there has always been very strong opposition from the Czech Central Bank, who's always trying to come up with reasons why we're not still sufficiently aligned, even though when I look at the Czech and German economy, it is aligned very closely. And politically, because we always had strong politicians against joining the Eurozone and let's say very weak political support for joining the Eurozone, most of the public is opposed. So many politicians are simply saying, well, we shouldn't do anything because people don't want to join. But it is hurting us economically, and it is also hurting us politically because we are not part of the key economic solutions about the future of Europe.
All right. I mean, but since it is such a big issue in countries such as Poland or the Czech Republic, I mean, I'm looking at Bulgaria, and if I'm not mistaken, it is the poorest country in the EU. So does it sort of formally meet the conditions needed to make the switch?
It does, because despite of all the political turmoil, public finances in Bulgaria are, I would even say, surprisingly stable. Usually in such political environment, public finances are a huge problem. They have managed to cut down inflation, and they changed the supervision of the banks. That was the biggest worry of the European Central Bank. So I think they meet the criteria, and what I think will be very important for Bulgaria, because they are the poorest in Europe, that it will jumpstart the economy. It has forced them to do some important economic reforms on public finances. But also for investors, when you offer them that they can invest in euros, they don't have the currency exchange risk, and then you make decisions, well, do I invest in Bulgaria or do I invest in Romania, where I still have the currency risk? Some investors will opt now for Bulgaria. Maybe in the past they would not do it, but this is also a signal of confidence of Europe, including the European Central Bank, that they believe that Bulgaria will remain a stable economy.
Right, because I mean, so far we looked at the upside, so to speak, of this conversion. But what are some of the potential risks? Could anything go wrong?
No, I think, as long as they have all the agreements from European Central Bank and the Council, then I don't expect anything to go wrong technically. I think technically, Bulgaria will be ready. What they will need to be careful about is to make sure that some of the businesses don't misuse joining the euro to increase the prices artificially. This is, I think, the main priority of the Bulgarian government, to make sure that something what we've seen in Croatia does not repeat in Bulgaria, when, especially in the tourism industry in Croatia, prices went up very quickly. The excuse was, we just joined the euro, but it was artificial changes that really had no economic base. So this is, I think, the only thing, if I were a Bulgarian politician, I would focus on.
Of course, but still, I mean, so many people are protesting. You've mentioned the sort of the right-wing pro-Russian element, right? The Revival Party coordinating some of these demonstrations, but also have some NGOs and I guess just ordinary people, right? So why are they so concerned?
I think psychologically, people are always connected to their currency. Something we live with. We know the prices in the local currency. Now, on paper, the prices will change simply because you have an exchange rate. So for people, that sometimes is confusing. In many countries, imagine that on paper you earn, and I'd say 25,000 in the case of Czech Republic, you would be earning 25,000 Czech crowns. And all of a sudden, if we joined Eurozone, you would only earn 1,000 euros. Still the same value, same purchasing power, but mentally 25,000 versus 1,000. So it's pretty much about psychology, people being afraid, again, about inflation. So government communication campaign is something that is very important, that has been done very well, for example, in Slovakia, when they really spent 2 years focusing on these vulnerable groups, assuring them, explaining them. So I think if Bulgaria needs to focus on something, that is this communication campaign.
And from like a strictly sort of technical side, how would this sort of euro adoption and sort of, you know, changing the left to euro look like in practice, I mean?
Technically, you have January 1st when you then change the prices, but before that, when you already know the exchange rate, even before the official switch to euro, you already have on the price tags both the price in Bulgarian leva and in euros. And January 1st, you only switch the order that euro would be first, Bulgarian leva would be second, and you keep that for at least the next 6 months. So people can slowly still check the old price they remember, and already start learning the new prices in euro. That is important psychologically, that people still have this comparison with the old price. And then all the others is basically technical changes. The accounting information systems, you only switch the numbers, you have the fixed interest rate. So technically, these things have been tested and tried. And the communication and I think the showing the prices in both the current euros and the old currency, that is the most important to make sure that is done very well.
But it still seems to be an ambitious overhaul. So fingers crossed for Bulgaria. Tomáš Prouza, thank you so much for being with us this morning. Much appreciated.
Thank you very much for having me. Good morning to you all.
And thank you for watching. Please stay tuned for more here on TVP World.